You had to endure several cuts in your film from the censor board. Will it make you rethink the kind of stories you want to tell, the kind of cinema you want to make?
My job as a writer-director, someone who doesn't have the IP of the film, is to protect it by rewriting, rewording, re-editing, and still making sure the emotional impact of the film still holds. But of course, it's lost.
Do you often feel the burden future generations should be able to see this and say, this is a story of our time?
Because you were talking of censorship. Usually we have this thing that before a movie, we have this disclaimer saying that this film is a work of fiction and all characters are. But in this film, the disclaimer was, this film is from real life. And because of which the censor board got after us. And because we had used in the names like Indira Gandhi, Jalappa, and Hari Prasad. And the film also had a lot of Ganda Galis. Finally, the censor board came and made a compromise. They said, we'll let all the Ganda Galis be, but please change these names.
In my experience, they will cut some bird words. It's okay, I can understand that one. And they asked to come to that, it's word government also. I worried, I asked them to, so it's a bird word, government also a bird word, I don't know.
When did you finish the film? And how long has it been till today?
So I finished the film in 2022. I started shooting in 2022 January, and by December we were done with the film, and we submitted the film to CBFC certification board, not the censor board. So
2022
December 22nd December 2022.
So it's going to be 3 years and
Right.
it's still not released.
Yes, it's
Are
still
you
not
still
released.
hanging on to hope that it will be?
Yeah, I think only me.
Around the Second World War, there are a lot of films that Hitler was funding as propaganda films. As we know, that is happening in our country also from last 10 years. I see a very close depiction of how Muslims are, represented in our mainstream films now. And it's not been called out enough. It is by a certain, section of society and also media, but not enough. Like, when was the last time you saw a film where there was a Muslim hero? Because all the Akbars are getting changed into Amars, and nobody knows this.
Before we begin our next session, just a quick note. Many of you here are subscribers and you've often shared feedback on our shows, including Let Me Explain, hosted by our lovely Pooja Prasanna. The show is about to hit its 100th episode. So if you are a regular viewer and have thoughts, ideas or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Do take a moment to drop by us outside and share them with us. And now let me welcome you to our next session, Cinema as a Chronicler of Our Times. Cinema, as we know, is never just entertainment. It reflects our lives, our politics, our struggles, our dreams. It holds up a mirror to society, shapes our collective memory, and sometimes even says the things that the news cycle leaves out. This session is about how cinema captures the spirit of our times and why it continues to be such a powerful way to understand the world around us. We have a fantastic panel with us today. First, Honey Trehan, a storyteller who wears many hats, from his work as a casting director in films like Delhi Belly and Urta Punjab, to producing acclaimed projects such as Death in the Gunj and Ullurika. His directorial debut, Raat Akeli Hai, won a Filmfare Award, and his upcoming film, Punjab 95, tells an important story of justice and struggle. We also have with us M Chaitanya, a leading voice in Kannada cinema. His debut, Aa Dinagalu, won multiple awards and is still regarded as a landmark. He continues to direct across film, theatre, and documentary, shaping Kannada storytelling in meaningful ways. Also joining us is Shazia Iqbal, a writer and director whose debut short Bebak won international acclaim, and whose first feature, Dhadak 2, is being celebrated right now for boldly bringing caste and Dalit politics into mainstream cinema. She has also contributed to anthology projects such as Love Storia, alongside her extensive work as a production designer. And we have TJ Gnanavel, the acclaimed Tamil filmmaker behind Kootathil Oruvan, Jai Bhim, and Vettayan. His films have left a deep mark on contemporary Tamil cinema, with Jai Bhim in particular sparking wide and important social conversations. Sharing this discussion is our moderator, Abhinandan Sekhri, co-founder and CEO of Newslaundry, and also co-founder of Small Screen. He has worked across television and film as a producer, director, and writer, from the much-loved food and travel show Highway on My Plate to satire shows like Gustakhi Maaf and The Great Nir Tamasha. With that, let me invite Abhinandan and our wonderful panelists to the stage. Please welcome them with a warm round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you all for making the time for this session. The introductions are done. Gnanavel has very kindly made my job a lot easier. He has already prepared a 10-minute presentation. It was actually supposed to be a PPT, so he can clearly explain the context of cinema as chronicler of our times and the social influence and impact of cinema. But he has now decided that he will just give us the address without the PPT. So thank you, Gnanavel. Why don't you start off with that, and then we can get to the rest of the discussion. But appreciate you having prepared. I appreciate people who prepare and come.
Vanakkam. Glad to meet all anti-national and national here. In Tamil Nadu, we have a folklore story. A tribal father and his kid walk in the forest. The father is carrying his son on his shoulder. On their way, they see that a big elephant is fallen dead. The son is shocked and also a little afraid. He says, "Appa, that elephant is dead." The son is shocked and afraid. "Appa, the elephant is dead." They pass the elephant with sadness when Appa says, "The elephant is not dead, it has been killed." Son is confused. Why should the elephant be killed? His father replies, "They would have killed to remove his tusk." The son is blank, but again asks, after few steps, what will they do with the tusk by killing the elephant? Appa says, they will make elephant doll with the tusk and keep it as a decoration at home. When I was young, I heard the story and imagined the big forest. I could hear the pain and cry of the bleeding elephant when its tusk got removed. Just like that, the tribal boy, I could not accept why an elephant is killed to make the elephant doll. That is the power of storytelling, power of art. All art not just explain past, it is guiding light for our future. Every visual as a story, every story as a visual. Before cinema, for reconstructing history, historians have studied literature, sculpture, excavation, and taken many other efforts. From the time cinema started, it has also become a documenter of history. The Great Dictator. Film showed the parody of Hitler's dictator rule when he was still alive. Chaplin, who acted as a Hitler in that film, will play with air-filled balloon, which is round like our globe. It is tragic poem by Chaplin. In Hitler is seen playing and kicking up the globe with his leg, and clearly conveys to us how dictatorship rules casually play with lives so many people. Today, Indian situation, is a film like Great Dictator possible? I'm not sure. In India, the film that support ruling powers ideology is always getting red carpet welcome. In the name of the telling history, it's easier to make film like Kashmir Files and Kerala Story. They will also get national award, they get tax exemption, etc., etc. But you cannot make a Manipur Files, Gujarat Files. In Mahabharata, they say for the king Dhritarashtra, who could not see, his vision was provided through Vidura. When Draupadi was humiliated and disrobed by Dushadana, apart from only Vidura, all these elders were silent spectators. Movie, screenwriters, directors should have courage to break the silence. Bhim and Vetrimaaran. I wish to share my experience, close this topic, from those two films which I wrote and directed. When I was doing research of Bhim, I had questioned why the people is putting fake cases on tribal people and taking them. More than a scheduled caste people, the scheduled tribe people were arrested in fake cases. In the terrain village of 300 house, majority BCs and scheduled caste people will be considerable number. If anything happened to that caste people, at the most minimum 100 people will gather and question the police, why have they taken our person away? But scheduled tribe people would hardly 4 or 5 families. Nobody will ask if they are taken away. But in the same village, only few Brahmins or forward community families will be there. But they don't have the count issue. And never in their life, police have taken them on fake case. I found out that when these tribal who are arrested in the fake case were going to be released, that date was marked, and just outside the jail, they will be re-arrested for another fake case. So then I decided JVM is not about the injustice for that one innocent person. Like this, it is happening that lot of people, and we are going to see about one such a case representing custodial violence. That's why I had that very first scene of the film. In JVM, the scene where the family gets tortured in the lockup, I had kept only the sound effects and their painful screams. I did not keep any background music. I got feedback that if we added music, it will be smoother. Without music, it is looking very painful. But I did not agree. This injustice happened not only because of the overpowering police. Important reason is also the silence of the civil society. Injustice takes place more because of our silence than police brutality. So I left the silence even it is painful. After release the JVM, I got lot of appreciation. I also got some advice. They said, lot of visuals have communist flag. So if I edit out, there is high chances to getting national award. I said, I don't want award. I can't do this. Police party is working for vote only. These tribal people don't have voter ID. Even before I made this film, with no intention to get votes, Communist Party protest for those people. Without registering that and by hiding, it is not fair to get an award. Movie did not get any national award, but I got 4 FIRs. After fighting for over 3 years in the court, the case got dismissed. Delayed justice is denied justice, that is JVM. Hurried justice is buried justice, that is Vetrimaaran. Vetrimaaran is also about violation of power in front of our eyes. I was reading the newspaper about an encounter on April 5th, 2015, in this forest in Tirupati, Seshachalam, in Red Sander Smuggling Prevention Police encountered 20 persons alleged to that have smuggled Red Sanders or Semmaram. All 20 of them who were encountered were woodcutter coolies. And as shown in Pushpa movie, if these Red Sanders from Andhra need to go overseas from Chennai port, then it involved politicians, officials, and many rich persons. Whenever read, hear, or see the police arrest, do encounter on such a big people, the coolie laborers usually get 500 rupees as a regular wages, but when they got the chance to earn 5,000 rupees, and they take up such a task cutting red sandalwood, and the police bravely encountered them. I was very disturbed by this. Police is able to brand these laborers as a smuggler and murder 20 of them without any question. The government also presenting medals to the police, and they are also termed encounter specialist. This anger is only represented in Vetrimaaran. I kept this film in climax scene. In my opinion, cinema is triple E: engage, entertain, and enlighten. Unfortunately, as a business, it is enough to engage and entertain in cinema. To enlighten is just pure responsibility. Only if he carries that responsibility, it will lead the healthy society and harmonious living for next generation. Dhritarashtra did not have his eyes to see what happened in the war. Even today, rulers can be like that. But the one who provides him the right visions, that role is for cinema, media, at any art form. And even if we close our eyes, then only lies will be decide history. Thank you all.
Thank you, Gnanavel, not just for that, but for your cinema and for having to endure FIRs for a film. And unfortunately, that's the reality. And what I find sometimes disturbing and sometimes encouraging is that a line like that, everyone, including me, laughs because of the ridiculousness of it, but also sometimes it is sad that that prevents so much of talent from actually exploring the maximum potential that they would. So let me start with you're the latest film. Yours has not been released yet, so I will not say latest because yours are still stuck. But his film, which I have seen, by the way, Punjab 95, it is outstanding. It makes your hair stand on end. It's about the police atrocities in Punjab in a different geography, but the story is similar. But you had to endure several cuts in your film from the censor board. So let me come to the specifics of that, and then we'll move on to the larger impact of cinema. For your future projects, how much, because your film, those of you who haven't seen it, it explores the love story between a privileged caste boy, a privileged caste girl, and a marginal caste boy. And it went through all sorts of wrestling with the censor board. You have told me you have many stories to tell. At some level, maybe you have to push through your instinct of having to back off, but will it make you rethink the kind of stories you want to tell, the kind of cinema you want to make?
Not at all. I think if someone has to cut something from the film, they have to do the hard work. If we start getting into self-censorship, I think that will be the end of everything. So not for a second, I think when, like I told you, I have 6 scripts, which are my original stories. And I wouldn't think that there are some brave producers in studio who would, very, very few, who would still, yeah. I would hope so, that they're still there and they would want to tell these stories. But there are many ways of funding a film, whether it's international co-production or getting private funders.
But releasing a film is sometimes harder than actually making a film. So I understand, like inflation, I may really like paneer, and no matter how expensive it gets, I'll buy it. But generally, if you take the macro picture, people will be disincentivized from buying paneer. Similarly, if a particular kind of cinema is put through the kind of rigmarole and the tests that your film had to, at a macro context, it may not dissuade you, but do you think it has a chilling effect where those stories are disincentivized?
I think so. There's so much that happened. I mean, of course, there's so much about the film in the news. And my job in that, when the news started coming out, the film is stuck because of censor. By the way, we're calling it censor board. It's not a censor board. It's a certification board that, it's not clearing Dhadak 2, and that's why the release is delayed. My job as a writer-director, someone who doesn't have the IP of the film, is to protect it by rewriting, rewording, re-editing, and still making sure the emotional impact of the film still holds. But of course, it's lost. If it's not the original director's cut, a lot of it, that emotionality is gone with the cut. And it's actually emotionally, it's a very difficult process. Also, this was my first film. I didn't know. I mean, I've had a non-fiction release on Streamer, and I've made a short film before that. And of course, the first short film was kind of critically looking at, conservative ideas in Muslim household, and that censor board happily cleared it. And again, I said censor board. They are driven by the agenda of the state, right? Whoever's at the center, CBFC is in control of that government. And that is why if they have a certain agenda, because we're talking about the film, does it say about our times? Does cinema actually talk about what's happening in the country? Absolutely. Like, I don't think 10 years ago we could imagine a Kashmir Files or a Kerala Story coming blatantly without getting anything cut, the kind of, provocative thing it has to say, and not something that challenges the authority, but something that supports the authority's agenda. But now they are. And there are several films like that. Some are doing well, some are not. But what we have to manage, see, like, if I can draw an analogy, like if, journalists are struggling to say, talk truth to the power, filmmakers are also struggling. And like, you guys are funded by somebody, we are also funded by somebody. And the ringing, the arm twisting always happens by the people who have the money. They cannot directly control filmmakers, right? I mean, well, there are ways of controlling filmmakers as well, but a lot of us don't have much to lose as much as the studio producers do. So, you know, in the 80s, there was this wave of parallel cinema that happened. It happened right after the emergency. And if you see, a lot of filmmakers started getting independent funders and making their own films. But filmmakers won't stop saying, talking the truth, right? Similarly, journalists are not doing that. We all try to find our own way of building that narrative, that there is something happening and people need to know that. And we need to find ways to express that truth. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think if I come to a place where I'm not able to say what I want to say, I would rather not say at all, you know. But I don't think I will keep in mind that, oh, this is going to go through a CBFC process. So let's, you know, ye nahi bolte hain, ye nahi bolte hain, ye nahi karte hain. There's something significant which I wanted to say at this stage is, in last few years, how many mainstream Hindi films, by the way, just for context, they're more scared of Hindi films. And so it's very easy to go online and say, Bollywood wale aise hai, you know, they're not showing the truth of the society. But the thing is, they're more scared of Hindi films. So they try to control Hindi films more because it almost has like at least I was told in a CBFC session, that it reaches 80% of the country. And regional cinema, South cinema, which is more appreciated for, you know, being more boldsy and being more political, they are not that scared. Like, we were an adaptation of a Tamil film which was released, which was certified by CBFC, and we were said ki ha Tamil film hai, it's a small section of country that watches it. And we were not, you know, allowed to release. And I mean, this was when the film was stuck at the time. So yeah, it's Hindi films have more difficult, I mean, they are scared of it more because of the language, because of more people watch it.
Right. So just two quick things I must say before I move on to Chaitanya, that many journalists are afraid, our journalists are not. I just had to make that correction. And many journalists are funded by government ads. Ours are funded by subscribers. Many of you are here. So we are not the underdogs. In our case, it's that side who should be scared. We're not. So just want to put that. And thank you, subscribers. We don't really give a shit. Right. So, Chaitanya, you know, I was reading about your work. And the one thing that struck me is that you have worked with Girish Karnad, who around the country, but especially in this city, is seen as this giant of a man who, other than his skill and art and aesthetic, was so brave that that image of him at that protest with that mask, you know, people remember it. His art clearly was informed by his politics and his, you know, how he viewed society and the social construct and equations. Does much of working with that rub off on the entire crew? Tell us about what was like working with him and how it influenced you.
See, Karnad was a purist when it comes to whether he was writing theatre or cinema. So if he had an idea, he wouldn't put it in your face. He would still try to tell a story. You know? So the principles of storytelling, you know, how a protagonist is constructed, the kind of conflicts he goes through, and what comes out in the end, is what you can see in all of Karnad's work. I'll give you a small example of his play. He wrote a play called Bendakalu on Toast, you know, boiled beans on toast. That play was inspired by the fact that he moved to South Bangalore, which was considered a very quiet part of Bangalore in those days, because he thought it will be the peaceful part of the city. And in front of his house, they dug up the road and created an underpass. And there was this huge tree. He stood, I mean, they wanted to cut it off to widen the road. He stood and protested, but nobody cared. The other neighbors didn't care. So the tree was cut off. The reason he moved to South Bangalore went off. And that creatively influenced him to write Boiled Beans on Toast. And you'll not see that scene or any of that coming into the play. But you'll see an entire commentary on the city in the play. You'll see how people treat their servants, what is the relationship you have with your driver, and how do immigrants in the city look at the city, the ownership that they have, and so on. So that is what we all saw with Karnad. When in the films that I worked with him, we could see that he was reacting to life around him, but he was using it creatively. So if you see Tughlaq, it's a comment on Nehru. It's a comment. He used to joke saying that Tughlaq was banned in Sri Lanka because they thought that it was against the president there. It was banned in Pakistan because they thought it was against Zia-ul Haq. And recently, when it was played somebody performed it in Rangashankara, people were whispering Modi. So people at different times were relating to the play, and that was the transcendental value of his work.
And about your work, tell us, what is it that is your trigger? What is your motivation? Is it social commentary? Is it just a story, stripped of any social commentary that you find exciting? And do you often feel the burden of future generations should be able to see this and say, this is a story of our time?
Because the panel discussion is on chronicling the city, my first film was on an incident that actually happened in Bangalore. A gangster named Kotwal Ramchandra was killed, and 4 people were blamed were accused of the killing. And one of those accused was the one who wrote and produced the film. And I directed it, and Girish Karnad co-wrote the film with Agnish Sridhar. Agnish Sridhar was the writer of the film. In fact, he had seen the entire incident. And because you were talking of censorship, he claimed, usually we have this thing that before a movie, we have this disclaimer saying that this film is a work of fiction and all characters are. But in this film, the disclaimer was, this film is from real life. E cinema kalpanika shrushti alla. This film is not a work of creation. This actually happened. And because of which the censor board got after us. And because we had used in the names like Indira Gandhi, Jalapa, and Hari Prasad. And so then the censor board said, you can't use these names, change them. And Agnish Sridhar said he'll sit on protest outside the censor board for trying to censor him. And the film also had a lot of Ganda Galis. Finally, the censor board came and made a compromise. They said, we'll let all the Ganda Galis be, but please change these names.
So that means a pro tip to budding filmmakers should be just clutter your film with the most hideous language and then say, boss, aap wo rakh do, ye hata denge.
Yes. And finally, we did change the names. Indira Gandhi became Indira Ji. Jalapa became Halapa. And then Hari Prasad became Harish Prasad. Everybody could know what those names were.
Right. In your case, Honey.
Yes, I'm sorry. My mind is stuck. That's what I interpret. That according to CBSE, that 8 crores population Tamil Nadu is the small state means. That what about Nagaland, Tripura, Goa? It is considered in the censor board or not?
They probably don't even watch those films. But Honey, your film is yet to be released. I have watched it
I believe so.
I have, yes. So I just, first of all, quick answer. When did you finish the film? And how long has it been till today?
So I finished the film in 2022. I started shooting in 2022 January, and by December we were done with the film, and we submitted the film to CBFC certification board, not the censor board. So
2022
December 22nd December 2022.
So it's going to be 3 years, and
right.
It's still not released.
Yes, it's still not released.
Hanging on to hope that it will be?
Yeah, I think only me.
Okay.
So yeah. So then from December we gave the film, and first after watching half an hour, they switched off the film. So they said ki ye to Punjabi picture hai. Why do you need a Hindi certificate? We were like, okay, just go ahead, watch the film. They gave us another date after 1 week, and they said we'll watch the film. Because principally if the film is submitted and the censor board need to CBFC board need to watch the entire film. So then they watched the entire film. They said, we have certain issues and we want this film to be watched by the revising committee, which is a 13 people body. Then they watched the film in January end or sometime, and we were awarded with 21 cuts. These things we want to be changed, including the name of Jaswant Singh Khalda, जिनकी लाइफ पे पूरी फिल्म बेस्ड है. Okay.
You have clearly said it is based on.
Yes, yes, yes. And this is the second point we need to change. This is not based on any true incident. Yeah. And the third thing, you cannot say this is a true story. Then certain kind of 21 cuts were there, and we were not ready to adjust, accommodate those cuts because they had no reason to say all these things. Then we went to the court because after that in February we submitted, March, April, May, nothing, no response, radio silence, and June we went to the court. We told them we want to fight in the court. They said, okay, go ahead. We went to the court in June, and till 30th of July, they changed 4 CBFC lawyers because everybody was falling flat on their faith because you can't fight it out legally because the entire film is based on the legal testimonies and the court procedures. So when the 4th person came without seeing a film, like the kind of question that learned lawyer was making, and Lordship very humbly asked me, did you watch the film? And he said, no. He said, it's better if you watch the film and come back to me. And he said, no, for sure, because dates were there. So I was like, okay, I have read all the what previous lawyer had commented on. He said, no, go watch the film and we'll meet day after tomorrow. So then by the time the Lordship was also feeling, probably that is my viewpoint, like there is something fishy because I have one lawyer, they have their 4th lawyer, and what is happening. In between, by the way, one lawyer who was additional Solicitor General or somebody, he didn't appear on a particular day on the court, and the other lawyer, when he was asked why didn't he come, he said today he got retired. He said he got a call last night or what? 1 month ago, he must be knowing he's going to retire. Why did he take up this case? So anyway, those are the small things which is happening in court of law. But Lordship asked, I also want to watch the film. And give me a copy. So they both had the copy and they both watched the film. And next day they met. And the learned lord started with, sir, unfortunately, I have watched the film last night. And I must tell you, it was so disturbing that I couldn't get a proper sleep. Lordship said, what a coincidence. Even I only got the opportunity to watch this film last night. It was so disturbing, even I didn't get a proper sleep. So where do we begin? He said, that is exactly my point. Because this film will provoke this kind of a thing, separatism, Khalistan movement, the youth will get this, that. He said, I believe we both have watched the same film. Why my reading is so different than yours? You are only talking about the assumptions. He said, but these assumptions are strong. He said, okay, then please tell me, my friend, since when the court started working on assumptions? Then they also said, which I never said before, which I'm allowed to say now because they mentioned the law and order situation can be created in Punjab and certain issues can happen. And Lordship heard him very pleasantly, and then he said, yeah, I agree, law and order situation can happen in Punjab with this film, if you say so. But since when that has become a CBFC's problem? That's a state government issue. Their job is to give the certificate. They had nothing to argue about it. Then the learned lawyer said, finally, which is the key thing, he said, it's not only me, it's not only CBFC, but the INB ministry also has a problem with the film. That was the time they basically had it on their own, because the Lordship said, first tell me who shot the film to INB ministry. and why it was shown. How come the film can be shown to anybody when it's not censored? Now you tell me one thing, my dear friend, why the CBFC was formed in India.
So you went back to first principles.
First principle. So they were quiet, and this the Lordship said the CBFC was formed in India as an independent body to protect the creative right, freedom of speech, and the expression of an artist and the sanity of the film. So the CBFC is independent body, so their opinion should not be color coordinated with any kind of sitting government. If INB Ministry need to take all the calls, which film should be certified, and when and how many people should watch the film, what certificate should be given, then INB Ministry should take all the call. Why we need CBFC? Should we cancel CBFC?
So is this case still being heard?
No. Then that day, that was the second last hearing, and 4:30 around Bombay High Court, and the Lordship said ki I feel like it was very clear that this film should get released without a single cut. They also knew ki they are again like on a like back foot, and 4:30 that happened, and they had one more hearing left on the alternative day, and the same evening, 6:30, my producer Ronnie Screwvala got a call from Delhi. So,
And that was that.
then Ronnie went to Delhi.
So after that call, there is a little chance of...
Ronnie has a habit of doing a video call.
Oh.
So Ronnie did a video call to me. He said, look, should I tell you where I am and what is being discussed? I said, what? He said, should I tell you the entire story? I said, no, tell me the cracks. He said, okay, we are not fighting in the High Court anymore. We have to withdraw the case. And we are not doing our premiere at Toronto International Film Festival at any cost. And we have to do out-of-court settlement on 21 cuts. We agreed. Those 21 cuts, new DCP got made, went to CBFC, 30, they said we have further more observations. It became to 35 cut, another DCP 45 cut, another DCP 65 cut, another DCP 85 cuts. On 85 cuts, I had agreed, okay, because we were getting the certificate, that is what I was told. Now, everything has happened, but the chairman of the CBFC didn't get the time to watch the film till now, from the very first day. It was promised, now chairman is watching the film, they will give the certificate. Chairman watched the film, I was sitting outside the theater, they looked past me and they went off with the revising committee. Even in between, when we were submitting all the cuts, there were two incidents which I would like to mention. Earlier, they were not ready to believe this is a true story. When I gave them a compilation of 1,800 pages. Ki how each and every scene is based on a legal testimony and the papers. And when the revising committee head, when he saw those books and he knows after watching the film, this is based on truth, I said, sir, what you have to say? He looked at me and he asked me, Ki Trehan, who speaks the truth so loudly in today's time?
So finally, how many cuts did they want?
So now after chairman has watched the film, there was a 1 month radio silence. Then Ronnie again pursued and we were awarded with 16 changes. Those 16 changes materialized into 37 more cuts.
So we've crossed 100 now.
127 plus. So there I was like, I am cancelling all the cuts. Now the original film remain. Whenever it will come, the original will come. Otherwise this film will not be out.
So that's the story of making a film. For those of you... And in case many of you are wondering, why should this dispensation be so disturbed by a film that is about the Congress regime in the state, in the center, a problem, political commentators say, was caused by the Congress? It is because if you just take the party out, that could be anybody. And that comes to Chaitanya's point, that Tughlaq, everyone thought it was about their ruler, because that is the nature of power. Now, my next question is, I just want to take the counter view. I will say cinema as a chronicler of our times. Is it really? or do we just, not I, because I'm not a filmmaker, do you just, I'm not saying it as an accusation, but generally, because journalists take themselves seriously all the time, so that's a given. Are you giving yourself too much importance? And the example I want to take, and I had mentioned this to you yesterday, was Oliver Stone made a film called JFK, which was critically acclaimed. I think it was, did it win any Academy Awards? Does anyone remember? It did, right?
Yeah.
Now, it kind of pushed a conspiracy theory, which has been debunked, that there was this major conspiracy to kill JFK. And it keeps coming up, and it's taken up by, far right and fake news websites. And it didn't really do anything. It didn't open a case. We all watched it because it was a respectable person like Oliver Stone pushing a conspiracy theory. It was even taken seriously, but it has had no impact to the larger, narrative of why and how JFK died. Well, not an Oliver Stone, but a Vivek Agnihotri makes a, similar, fake news peddling, false narrative peddling thing. And a lot of noise is created. Does any of this matter 10 years from now? Or is it something that keeps us engaged, entertained, and of course, makes a political narrative and formations happen? But does it have any historical value? Why don't we start with you?
So our society is now very contrast. So they say something, they do something. So in government schools, we have that PT master, physical trainer. So that means his role is that encourage to play more in the ground. But usually, what is his role is, whoever not come the subject teacher, he will go classroom and don't talk and don't do that. Keep quiet. This is the sports teacher work. This is kind of here that freedom of expression is the censor board role. Okay, but that board will do the only one thing. They don't have any freedom for us. So in my experience, they will cut some bird words and think. It's okay, I can understand that one. And they ask to come to that it's word government also. I worried, I asked them to, so it's a bird word, government also a bird word, I don't know. Why you should ask me to cut on that? That's a big fighting is there, because that I think that the tribal people like this suffering because the government is not responsible for them. So that is everything is okay, we remove the government. So that what is the purpose to do that? So this contrast is always happening in surrounding that. It's more tough time, but we have to enough strong that we have that Parthiviran on cult movie, right? So that the heroine get beaten from father, and after that he eat meat a lot more. That means that means she asked, what happening? You getting beaten, then you eating meat. So I want get more strong to get more beaten to the father. So we need to strong. So tell this kind of things. That's how we have to act.
Right. Chaitanya, to my question, does it really have some sort of impact? Of one could say that a film like Amar Akbar Anthony could only be made at a time when secularism was a priority. Today, if you were to make it, probably Amar Anil Akhilesh would probably be the appropriate film. Or, but does it have that kind of impact that we assume it does?
Yeah, I think we watch old films to understand not just that film. We also try to understand the time that it comes from, right? If I watch films by Rajkumar, who is the icon of Karnataka, it gives us an idea of what Karnataka was then. The earlier films of Amitabh Bachchan or any of the heroes that came at every point of time, they were the voices that the country, they were representing the aspirations of the country. At one point, it was Bolo Kal Ki Baat Hai, Kal Ki Baat Purani. That's the aspiration at one point. At one point, it was inclusivity. And now we know what it is. So I think at every point of time, if we see the films that were made in the last 10 years, 20 years later, we'll know what the country was going through in those 10 years. Because it will stand to question.
What do you think, Sabha?
I think we have to understand the role of cinema in society, what it really does. Is it just a medium of self-expression like so many art forms are? I would say there are two things. One is that it mirrors society. It's a reflection of what's happening around. And it's also a medium to put utopian ideas in the society. Like if you see a lot of American films where there is a black woman who's president, while there has never been a black woman as president. So it helps in feeding to the society that there's a possibility of that. And that is what scares authoritarian regime, that it's a medium, they know the appeal of it. That's why around the Second World War, there are a lot of films that Hitler was funding as propaganda films. As we know, that is happening in our country also from last 10 years. There is this really important film in history of cinema. It's called The Birth of a Nation. It was made in 1915, and that film there was
the president screened it inside his home in the White House.
Yeah, and it showed black people as very animal-like, rapey people who, don't deserve to have an equal place in society. And this was, of course, coming off from the Civil War. I see a very close depiction of how Muslims are, represented in our mainstream films now. And it's not been called out enough. It is by a certain, section of society and also media, but not enough. Like, when was the last time you saw a film where there was a Muslim hero? Because all the Akbars are getting changed into Amars, and nobody knows this. Only people in the industry would know that, and it's a conversation that we sit across and have, that names are getting changed on script level.
Although in the spectacular ignorance, the ones pushing that would not know that Amar is a name that is also appropriate for Muslims and also for Sikhs, but they wouldn't know that, yeah.
So, I mean, that is why it is... there is a certain trend there is an erasure of minorities in mainstream films, I would say. There are filmmakers who are fighting it out. Independent filmmakers are kind of on a safer ground, because independent film also has a journey of taking the film abroad and then, taking to festivals outside and then coming. They have kind of like a outward to inward journey. Mainstream films release in theater directly. The massy films are the films that the government is most scared of. And that's why a film like Kashmir Files, a film like Kerala Story, Bengal Files, these are all theatrical films. They have a certain way, the language, the grammar the film is made in. So they have a bigger impact. They are more commercially accessible because they want to reach the interior of the country. They are not scared of films that go to festival. They are scared of films that talk to the larger group of people. And that's why, it's exactly the reason, he said, it takes so much effort to actually talk truth to the power. A cinema's job is, like Bergman said, cinema's job is actually taking up the authority. Whether it's religion, God, state government, teachers, parents, every piece of good storytelling is basically questioning something. And when you have a government like we have right now, basically what they stop you is from questioning. They tell you to make films that celebrate the older thoughts, older traditions.
Bigotry, I think.
And bigotry as well. That's more mainstream now. It wasn't, I would say, 10 years ago. It's more easy to say things about the minorities openly in a film. Like this whole Taj Mahal
which
thing. It has just come. Yeah, it's just come. I don't think that was possible 10 years ago. Or at least the CBFC would have a tougher look on films like that. And now they are just getting cleared.
But what I would definitely want to add on to that is it's not just the aesthetic, although much of the cinema has no aesthetic to speak of. And it's not being consumed because of any caliber or quality of cinema or storytelling. It is like, I think was pointed out about the tax-free element, that such films are made tax-free. The Prime Minister is pushing them, the whole cabinet is sitting and watching it, and photographs are being taken. Home Minister, Prime Minister is sitting and watching some film or the other. Like, dude, why is that news? But it is being pushed not from the cinematic aspect of it, that you put these 5 films, let the people decide, which I'm okay with. Put out bigotry, let the people decide. It is when state resources go out to push something, then it's not a level playing field. But we have 10 minutes left, and we give 10 minutes for audience questions. Like has been mentioned from moderators before that.
While doing that, they take care of the P&A also. While doing that, they do take care of the P&A also.
Exactly, the marketing. So that budget also comes through.
Yeah, because they do it.
So just a couple of requests. One is please keep your questions short. Please ensure it's a question, and so that we can take as many as possible. So let me start one with the young lady over here, and then we'll move on that side, then we'll move on that side.
Okay, thank you to the panelists. My question is, when you make movies which are reflective of the political or social times, such as Nitya or Jai Bhim, does it determine your cast as well, specifically the main cast? Do they have to align close to your ideological or?
Sorry, are you saying that does your own cast have to align with what you're representing on cinema?
Yes. Like the directors, like the screen.
Actor.
The actors.
Okay, the actors. Okay, thank you. Does it have to align? Do the actors necessarily have to believe in your message?
Yeah, if it is a big star means yes.
They do.
Yeah. So first that program is programmed by that it's a big movie means that star will decide. Then one can be productions. If it's a small movie means that production will come, the small actor, then we don't get that kind of reach, all those things. So it is, if you go into the mainstream, it's actor should convinced.
I see. Okay, let's just get one question here. Meena has a question here. And then after this, we'll take it at the back.
हाय, मेरा नाम मीना कोतवाल है और हम एक प्लेटफॉर्म चलाते हैं मूक नायक मीडिया वेंचर है, जिसका काम ही मार्जिनलाइज स्टोरीज करना है, मार्जिनलाइज कम्युनिटी के लिए स्टोरीज हम लोग करते हैं, कोशिश करते हैं उसी एंगल से देखें। तो मेरा आप लोगों से सवाल है, जैसे आपने धड़क बनाई, आप लोगों ने जो मूवी बनाई, जब आप मूवी बनाते हैं तो उसमें एक्टर्स क्या कोशिश करते हैं कि मार्जिनलाइज कम्युनिटी पर की भी हो, क्योंकि आप उसी एंगल से देख रहे हैं, उसी एंगल की स्टोरीज बना रहे हैं, तो क्या कोशिश करते हैं कि उस कम्युनिटी के लोग भी हों? अगर नहीं हैं तो क्या वजह है, वो क्यों नहीं होते? और अगर जिस तरह की आप स्टोरी बना रहे हैं, कास्ट के ऊपर जो स्टोरी बना रहे हैं, तो आपके जो एक्टर्स हैं उनको समझाने में कितना समय लगता है कि आज भी ये हकीकत है कि किस तरह से कास्ट की वजह से शादियाँ नहीं हो पाती या एक दूसरे के घर नहीं जा पाते और इस वजह से लिंचिंग वगैरह बहुत सारी चीज़ें होती हैं।
Great question. So let's take two, because they're two. One is, are crews and casts adequately represented across caste and community lines from your crews? I know you work in different film industries.
I mean, the main actor was not a Dalit guy, but there were a lot of Dalit Bahujan crew member in the film.
Generally, is there enough representation?
No, I would say it's not a common practice. It's only recent conversation also. It's not.
I didn't get you.
Meena's asking that while we are making cinema about, let's say, marginalized castes or communities, is there enough people of those communities in the cast and the crew of films? Or are there not enough people?
If it is possible, that is the best way. In JBIM, I used many tribe, as it is, I'm used that way. I give the training to them 3 months to front of camera. So, and the main artist don't have that exposure tribe life. I give train them to the tribal life 3 months. So, then only I'll get that authority of the tone. Otherwise, it won't get. But the face, everything, I can't use junior artist for tribe.
Sure.
So I take that people itself and I will give the training, and after that only good. If it is happening, it's good, but many times it is not possible.
So, hi Meena. I would say that when you're making an independent film, like when I made my short film, and because it was talking about the Muslim community, out of 34-35 people in the crew, about 22 were Muslims. And from varied background, across class and everything. But when you're making a film with a studio, it's very different how it operates, because the main casting of your film, it's also dominated by the studio heads and, investors and everyone. So it's more difficult, but you can make sure the other crew members are from the community. And मैंने एक प्रैक्टिस की थी, बहुत सारे बुक्स शॉर्टलिस्ट किए थे, बहुत सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्री शॉर्टलिस्ट की थी, जो भी इंसान फिल्म से जुड़ रहा था, whether it was the actors or other members, they were all, it was mandatory for everyone to go through that. We discussed it rigorously that we were all coming from a place of empathy and compassion, and we were not just, blindly entering a subject without understanding the world of it. So, आप navigate कर सकते हो, but I would say it's more important that a writer and director is from the community. वो inner voice ज़्यादा होती है. एक actor का काम होता है एक character को embody करना. It literally to become another person, so they can, if they have the knowledge of their craft and if they have empathy and compassion for the community, they can manage.
Can I just come in? So I understand, of course, that there needs to be more people from marginalized groups and so on in cinema, like they have to be in every other sector, and that is still lacking quite a lot. But I remember a thing that actor Nasser sir told me once. He was acting in a Kannada film, and they'd cast him as a Muslim. So he said, "Look, they called me to play the Muslim character because I'm Muslim." And he gave me the example of Maniratnam, who in Bombay, he cast a Muslim as the upper caste Hindu, and he cast a upper caste Hindu as the Muslim. So that it contrasts what is expected of them.
I see. We have the young lady here. You were putting up your hand. Oh, yeah. So since you've been holding up the 5-minute board, I just thought we should be courteous enough to also allow you to ask a question.
So my question is that since the panel discussed a lot on censorship and how the nose is like slowly yet surely tightening over all of us, what is the solution here? Like, is it to replace it with a better system? Are there any reforms that the panel would suggest?
Yeah, good question. But before you come to that, I'll just get your mic. Just take it to the young man there with the beard and the spectacles. So we're ready with the question. Yeah, what is a better solution than CBFC?
I think the filmmakers and all these people need to come together, and there has to be a broader meetings and all that, and to get to any kind of conclusion. I tell you, like the CBFC Bombay, the chairman person, unka tenure khatam हुए 4 साल हो चुके हैं. But nobody is questioning. Even the CBFC board meeting took place in 2019. After that, there is no meeting been there. Even the board member, actually, I spoke to a few board members. They have the card of CBFC membership, but they really don't know whether they are still a member of CBFC or not. Because the internal CBFC meetings are not happening.
What do you think is a good solution? Mike,
So the civil society should be sensitized. That is the right way, because the government will come and go. The officers come and go. Civil society, if in Tamil, I don't know that, I'm happy that I'm the South. We don't have that kind of things, because the people, if we raise the voice, we'll give the press meet, people will support us. So that will give the pressure to court and everybody. So that we need to the peer pressure group in the civil society. That is the only solution for each and every problem. See, that one problem is there in Tamil things. That called INR is a small god. INR is the small god. He have that weapon, all those things. It's not Lord Shiva, all those things. It's a small god. Okay, so yeah, they call small god. Siru Deivam Tamil la solluvaanga. So I don't know that small god. So okay, in that he doing one native story. That one OTT platform going to produce that one. They have the pre-censorship. We don't want that religious, because that we have the offer to that brandy and meat, everything for that God, because the God love that only. It's okay, because the God is a people God. Sure. So what people like, that the God also same like that. But the pre-censorship is said that the organization said we don't want any communal or regional issues, because that they will. It's a north happening there, that Tandav, all those things.
Right.
That effect here, and we fight for that. And after that we can here not a problem. Don't worry.
I see.
So that sensitization will be help for the permanent solution.
Right. What is your solution?
There are two countries which has very tough censorship in films, which is China and Iran. And what they've done, basically in China, you have to submit your script to the party. You have to share several, edit levels, and you can't even color your film in a tone where it is dark. It's that level of censorship. And similarly,
happy lagna chahiye.
Happy lagna chahiye. Masi hai, happy hai, sab acha hai, sab, everything is good in the country. Sab changa si. So in Iran, what the filmmakers did was, they started using metaphorical stories, where the government couldn't understand that it is against them. So that is a solution. Hunger Games, you think it's a dystopian film, right? But it is basically just talking to the power. It's calling out the government. So yeah, we need solutions like
Chaitanya,
that.
what do you think is a good solution?
I think in
CPFC.
Hollywood, they don't have, as far as I'm aware, the government doesn't form a certification board. It's the industry which forms the certification board. It is composed of various people. And instead of, saying, instead of censoring films, they rate it and they let the audience decide. I think that's the best form of doing. It's
Should have been
supposed to
doing.
do, but
Suppose,
they're
but
not.
that's not what it does.
They can't ask for cuts. They can say these are the things that are objectionable, and so such people can watch it or can't watch it, but leave it to the audience to watch.
I have a quick thing to say about a film, very important. Our film was given a certification of UA 16+ when we had applied for UA 13+. And the RO, the main officer who was heading a revising committee, he said that, I don't want children who are 13, 14 to get exposed to words like Dalit and Bahujan. And my question to him was, but who are the children who are not exposed to these words, which is upper caste kids, right? Yes. A Dalit kid knows he's Dalit.
No, I mean, that is so tone deaf,
Exactly.
that comment.
And everywhere our film was a worldwide release, and everywhere it released, my 9-year-old nephew in Canada saw the film and he gave me a synopsis of what the film was about. But unfortunately, a 9-year-old in India can't see the film. And except for UAE, where the kissing scene was cut, everywhere else the film was intact. No one cut anything out of the film. But in our country, it was.
But 8 years are allowed to watch Bengal files.
Of course. How else will we brainwash them?
Yes.
This rule won't apply for Kashmir story, Kashmir files are, this is all for that our movies only. Is no such a condition for that. You can do any violence, you can do any words for use that is good for them.
As long as you are showing Muslim in a bad light. One small thing I would mention, I met to a RO who's been very generous. He really wanted to hear what I have the problem with the cuts. So Delhi में 1984 में दंगे हुए थे because after the Indira Gandhi assassination and famous है त्रिलोकपुरी में दंगे हुए थे and I told them कि सर ये 1984 में त्रिलोकपुरी में हुए थे तो how you want me to change त्रिलोकपुरी मतलब what do I say? They said खानपुरी कर दो क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
So that is
That's the
the
world.
reality. So I'm glad you got to hear all of this. Thank you so much to the panel. Thank you, dear audience. Now, I have one more thing to say. The most important thing is coming up, so please don't leave. We don't have solutions to the cinema part, but we have a solution to the news part. Don't leave it to corporations, government to fund. I know all of your subscribers, but they put a little more pressure on you. When you go back home, get 2 of your friends or family to subscribe and pay to keep news free. And as soon as we have a very robust solution to this, we will also find a solution to the other cinema problem. But for now, let's focus on news. Pay to keep news free. Get someone to subscribe. Don't be shy. Let's get 10 more journalists and have a bigger and better media rumble next year and get these ladies and gentlemen again. So, yeah, I will again say we have got a solution to the news part. We'll come to a solution to the cinema part as well. Thank you all. Thanks. Bye.